Hey creative friends, welcome to Tracy Bautista Color, and I want to share a little peek into the Nature's Graffiti collection. So I am going to be swatching just a few of the pigment bars and some of the watercolors. So you'll see that when you use one side or the other, there are multiple colors. They're duotone. And then my new wax pastels also. A little bit of a harder mark making tool, but the colors are so vibrant and beautiful. And so I thought that I would just do a little swatching. I'm gonna put down some of the pigment bars and then add some of the watercolors, and you'll notice that some of the colors you get 2 on one side, and then sometimes there's 1 up to 3 or 4 different colors, sometimes 5 depending on the little bits of wax that you see inside there. So I have a watercolor tile. This one's well used, but these are the same as my watercolor pans. The watercolor on the tile, on the tile, there's much more room to use larger brushes and to mix. So every season I create these tiles, and there's a variety of colors on them. I'm just going to kind of mix some of the colors that are on here so you can see the beauty of this palette. There's lots of greens. There's this beautiful, I just mixed in a darker green so you're getting more of an olive color, but there is actually like a yellow green underneath there. Let me just put some of that over here. Maybe I'll wipe some of this off onto the journal, just so that I don't waste all that paint. And then dip this into my water there. And see if I can get some of this color now. I think that there we go. You'll see a little bit of a different kind of a green gold color. It's really pretty. And I'm gonna mix that one with just a little water. And then there's another kind of a gray blue over here. And then I just mix that with a little bit of that yellow green, and got some beautiful variations of green that you get with this collection. Because the paper is so textured, you're seeing a lot of the white when you use the pigment bars or the wax pastels, and that's just because the paper is super textured. This is a handmade paper from France. And let's go and grab maybe one of the gray blue colors there. I'm just gonna wipe this off on here, try and get most of that paint off. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of this gray. This is really pretty. This has a little bit of titanium gray and a few other pigments in it. So pretty. And there's a little bit of a purple here. Can mix it with this gray, get this beautiful color. A little bit of blue in there too. I'm painting over some of the watercolor, but also some of the pigment bar there. So that's kind of a little peek into the Nature's Graffiti collection. There are a few different colors. When you use this, you get that really beautiful dark teal, and then there's a little bit of this beautiful pink color in there, and then lots of these lighter kind of pinkish gray color that's on there. So that's a little peek into the watercolors and pigment bars and wax pastels. And then let's do a little bit of the inks. I'm going to do this on a couple of different papers. I'll do one here, and then I've got some smaller watercolor swatch cards that I make. I just cut down a big piece of watercolor paper and use those to create these mini swatch cards. This is also the Nature's Graffiti collection. Some of the ink, some of the watercolors on this one. And then this is all ink, and then a little bit of dots of watercolor in there. So it's a really beautiful collection for sure. So for this one, I'm going to wet the paper just a little bit, even though you can see there's a little bit of paint on here, it's fine. And then take some of this color. There's a bit of color in there. Let me just take some of it out. And then drop it into the wet. So you get kind of this wet on wet color effect. So you just need a pipette to drop the ink in there. And then I could also play with one of these other colors. So it's good to just kind of shake. You'll see there's a little bit of mica down at the bottom. So when you shake the bottle, you get the color all mixed in there along with the mica. So I'm going to just put a little line here, and then I'm going to draw it out with a little bit of water too. And these inks can also be used with fountain pens and mixed with any of the watercolors, used as a resist with the pigment bars and wax pastels. Those are two of my favorite colors from the wax pastels. And then I can bring in let's bring in a little of this blue. So there's still a little of this color on my brush. So taking some of this blue and green and doing a little wash there. So I think it's always important to kind of play with your paints, experiment with different techniques, experiment with different brushes. I could take a little thing and flick a little bit of color in here just to see what happens when the colors touch. And then I've got this beautiful medley of the inks, watercolors, and pigment bars and wax pastels. And I can actually let this dry and then use the pigment bars on top of it too, or the wax pastels, so you can see the difference. Wax pastel, I can really get a little bit more coverage, but the pigment bars on the textured paper, you see a lot more of the texture. But I could fill some of that in if I wanted to, maybe with some color, just to fill in. And you'll see it kind of acts as a resist over the blue there, but I can actually fill in that white space. So there's lots of options with these. We'll do one here, and I'm just going to use a wet brush, and it has a little bit of that green in it, which is fine. And I'll do, let's see what's left in this pipette, and maybe grab this color. So there was 4 or 5 different like variations of inks in this collection. And this one's a darker, really beautiful green color. can also take maybe a little of this, just make it very wet and just drop it in here too. So you can mix and match and layer all of the different Tracy Bautista color products together. Maybe grab a little bit of a darker green. And now I've got a little bit of texture. If there's too much paint that comes up on the side, you can take a paper towel and just let it soak in like that if you want, or you can let it dry. I'm gonna let one side dry and we'll see what happens, what it looks like in the end. So these inks definitely have this beautiful green. There's like a mixture, a bunch of greens in them. There's a turquoise, there's like a teal, there's more of a lighter sage green, and then kind of more of an emerald green color. This one is actually drying really pretty. You can see the variations of the greens and some of the purple gray colors in there. And let's do another one. I'm just gonna try and do a wash here, plain wash. And then let's do this one. Actually, I think I want to do this one. And I think the labels got backwards on these two. These are my sets. Because this has that darker color in it. Yeah, I think it has the wrong label on it. So you can see full strength, and then as it gets more water in there, it's really pretty. Can do a little drop of this one in there too. So you can see how when the water comes in there, you see some of the undertones. There's this beautiful purple in there along with that dark kind of blue color. And then I could just drop that little amount of that teal green color and just let this kind of flow. And it's always fun to see like how they dry and what happens when you mix all of the different colors. So the paper is a little, it's like starting to buckle just a little. So it's going to get darker on the edges, but you could kind of move around the color like that if you wanted to. Blot some of it out. So got a little bit more ink coverage there, more of the layers of watercolor, some of the mixture of all of the media in this collection. It's kind of fun. And this one here is drying also. I may take some of this out of here. Just like that. And that is a little peek into the Nature's Graffiti handcrafted artisanal watercolor mixed media collection. I hope you enjoyed a little peek into all of the beautiful colors inspired by nature. Thanks for watching.